commitment to NATO. Senator Cotton.
Thank you, gentlemen. General Guillot, as the chairman mentioned in his opening statements, I have legislation with Senator Gillibrand to address the drone threat here in America. We seem to have drones just flying around everywhere, and many times people don't know what's going on, most notably in the public eye late last year in New Jersey. But this is also happening around our military bases a lot. You've had drone incursions over Joint Base Langley, Wright-Patt Air Force Base, Vandenberg Space Force Base, Picatinny Arsenal, Anderson Air Force Base. Could you explain to us briefly what is the threat that these drones pose to U.S. military operations, facilities, and personnel?
Senator, the primary threat I see for them in the way they've been operating is detection and perhaps surveillance of sensitive capabilities on our installations.
And that's all installation, not just super sensitive ones like nuclear sites. It could be our fighter bases or Army bases or naval bases or what have you.
Yes, sir. There were 350 detections reported last year on military installations, and that was 350 over a total of 100 different installations of all types and levels of security.
Yeah. But it's the case right now that only at certain sites, which you might call the super sensitive sites, like nuclear bases, do commanders have the authority to protect their airspace from these drone incursions.
That's correct, Senator. We call those covered installations, and not all about half are covered.
Which sounds crazy to me, and I think most Americans would think it doesn't show a lot of common sense. I mean, base commanders at every base around America, they have the authority and they have the capability to protect their perimeters. Say if some terrorists got a dump truck and drove it through the front gate, or were trying to breach the perimeter fence, we would expect base commanders to protect their base with force if necessary. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir, and I would propose and advocate for expansion of 130I to include all military installations, not just covered installations.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I have legislation to do just that,
All right.
to counteract with Senator Gillibrand, that again would give these commanders the legal authority they need, plus the capability required to protect their bases from these kinds of incursions, and then hold them accountable for doing so. Is that exactly what you're advocating for?
That is, sir, and if I could add, I'd also like to see the range expanded to slightly beyond the installation, so they don't have to wait for the threat to get over the installation before they can address it, because many of these systems can use side-looking or slant range, and so they could surveil the base from outside the perimeter. And under the current authorities, we can't address that.
Even better. Now, last year, you also said that there were thousands of drone incursions over the southern border. And just last week, Mexican cartel leaders were reportedly authorized to use drones equipped with explosives.
Remember November? Mysterious drones operating with impunity over America and worldwide.
Now, a senior British official confirmed to Fox that the UK has deployed about 60 troops, including counter-drone specialists, to help determine who is behind this and to help defend the air bases amid fears it's a potential coordinated operation.
The Biden administration plays it down.
It's entirely possible that it could be hobbyists or something else. We just got to look into it.
2025 rings in a new president and a response to the drones.
The drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones.
Is the White House being transparent? The end of 2024 was marked by seemingly unending reports of drones worldwide that did not seem to be, sort of acting or operating like regular drones. The year prior, these mystery drones were operating with impunity over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, forcing the United States Air Force to move an entire wing of F-22 fighters to another location. While public reports of the mystery drones have virtually disappeared, appeared, a former Pentagon official told the Good Trouble Show off the record that mysterious drone incursions are continuing to occur over the United States military bases, albeit at a lower rate and without anywhere near the operational impact the 2023 Langley incident had. Today, an expert panel joins us to discuss these incidents, what we can possibly expect in the near future, and how public safety officials should prepare.
I would like to turn to Jerry and John Tedesco, electrical engineers who have taken it upon themselves to apply some very innovative techniques with technologies to detect these drones. And what they've done is been able to use hyperspectral photography to visualize things that they can see only in certain spectrums, but not with the naked eye. So Jerry and John, thank you for joining us again once today. And if you could please tell us what technology or behavior have you been able to detect using your methods?
Objects are out, and they usually pop in at about 1.7 gigahertz and 1.8 gigahertz. They're usually they're dual signals that pop up when these things are out.
They're always accompanying one accompanies the other.
Yeah.
The largest signals are 1.79 or 1.75 gigahertz, and then you have a 1.81, which is at a much lower amplitude, but they seem to occur together. That's the only thing that we're picking up out in the field, when we are seeing high traffic areas.
Yeah, and they're not typical to normal RF transmitting
Right.
radio frequencies of typical drones.
And there seems to be patterns with magnetometers as well. It's not just the RF frequencies that we're seeing. We're seeing a specific pattern with the magnetometers as well as the ultrasonic detection systems that we have as well. So there seems to be some correlation, which we're still trying to figure out. We're still working on at this point. But getting back as far as the type of equipment that we're trying to basically rally for is for the police departments to have, or emergency management to have some kind of systems that may eliminate some of those wild guesses as far as what it is that they're encountering and that sort of thing. We highly recommend night vision cameras, which are near infrared or shortwave infrared. The type of stuff that the law enforcement already has, speed guns are very important. The radars themselves, and millimeter wave radar between 24 gigahertz and 36 are the two different types. I think they use Stalker, and they have a range of about 1.5 miles to 2 miles, something the size of an SUV, and something the size of an airliner or something the size of a tractor trailer. You can go out almost 3 miles for detection capability. Now, it doesn't matter whether these objects are moving very quickly. The only thing that we're concerned about, and the thing that we're interested in, is whether or not they're producing a Doppler effect, a reflection from the radar. If there's something tangible there's something that has mass. And whether you hear a chirp or you hear a Doppler changing sounds, a frequency changing, those are the kind of things that are important to us, because it's more than just a plasma, or it's more than just swamp gas.
And I want to back up with something here. Many of the police forces, like in Orange County, I know they were doing it. I think they're doing it in Monmouth County, New Jersey. The sheriff's departments, they did have a mobile command unit, drone unit that they were deploying. I know they were looking at ADS-B data to track planes, manned aircraft. They were launching their own drones, 6-foot industrial drones, with both FLIR and a standard camera system on it. And they were getting some unusual things. They actually have a video of an object that was oval shaped. It was a greenish color, greenish hue to it. It had a yellow red beacon in the front. It had one on the bottom, which weren't always on. It would occasionally flash in the direction of travel of the object. They also talked about these objects having no thermal signature, odd flight behaviors such as speeding towards the drone they launched and stopping, making a 180 degrees turn around it, back shooting back off in the distance, then shooting back towards the drone again and making a U-turn around it. So it just didn't fit normal
and
entry.
no sound.
And no sound, yeah. So
exactly.
So they were detecting.
What Chris said.
They were doing their due diligence detecting, these, going out and investigating and trying to.
So they're doing a pretty good job with what they have as far as.
Yeah, and they've reported this. But it seems to have gone, kind of ignored, I guess.
So Jerry and John, if you can give us a kind of a scenario, an actual situation, you just gave us a good description, but at some point we're going to show some video of an experience that you had. Can you tell us about a significant experience that we might be able to see on video or photo that would provide us some visual context?
Sure.
Do we want to play the video that you guys sent?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then and then you can comment over it. Here we go.
And the recent
wrong one.
Okay, so this was back in November 2022. I think it was November 12th. What we were seeing is you're seeing these objects that we were off on the Fire Island National Seashore. It's a barrier island off of Long Island. And you're seeing these clusters of objects. Some of them were very low to the water. Here's something that was drone-like, and what it's doing is it's shining some kind of there's another light object flashing off to the side of it, and it looks like it's trying to observe this object by using these search beams. And you see it lighting up a cloud down here.
Yeah, whether it anti-collision lights or something else, but they're extremely bright. It's
but they were actually shining search beams laterally out.
And these drones, drones typically are 500 lumens as far as their lighting system.
And here's another. This is a drone-like object again. It's pulsing. There's another object that's very low over the water. There's another one that's flashing. It's sitting on the water.
Yeah, so you see that the object just below it is an orb, and the object above that we believe to be this.
That's these drone-like objects that appear to be. They're flashing there.
And the same can be said with these two objects here. You have one.
Jerry, John, was there any indication that any of these drones were operated by any of our government or any known entity or?
No, that was the issue with the spectrum analyzers. We couldn't get, we expected to see some kind of a remote transmission around it, that would give its commands and that sort of thing, some intelligence of, directionality and so forth, some control signals, but we saw nothing. We saw nothing other than what looked like pilot signals.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is we did do a deep dive on that. We had an investigator with us, Donalene Arno. She once worked as a private investigator. She actually checked in with the DHS. She checked in with the Law Enforcement Marine Bureau. She checked in with Coast Guard. Yep. She checked in with many of the other agencies. Nobody would take responsibility for these objects.
I see. And I noticed that there was a light flashing what seemed to be from whoever's taking this footage. What was the objective of shining the light?
All right, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit back. We've seen in the past where if we hit it with a torch, a visible torch, or an infrared torch, move that light, that emitter, in front of the objects or against the objects to see if they're reflecting light back.
Yeah, we also want to see if there's structure.
We want to see if there's structure. We also want to determine the range, because we know what the range of the torch is. We know what the range of the IR emitter is. And there was one is 1,300 meters, the other one is a little bit more. So we know how far they can penetrate output before you get a reflection. So we were looking for that, and of course we got it. We were reflecting light back from these objects. The objects that didn't give us any visible signature, when we hit it with a visible torch, we could see a reflection coming back from that object. So if the object went dark, we were able to illuminate it to some extent and see it.
And if you like I said, if you take enough time to look at this video, this is typical. We were seeing there looks like two types of objects out there.
Two distinct patterns.
Two distinct objects. There's the drone-like objects where you see the flash patterns and you see this looks like searchlights. They look like they're surveilling or looking at these orbs. These objects that appear to be orbs or a single source of light. And they're spherical.
Right. And we'd be tracking these orbs with night vision cameras, night vision goggles. So we could see them And we could see with the motion of the orbs, if they would move in a certain direction, it seemed like these drone-like objects would basically follow the same course, almost in a pursuit or surveillance operation.
And what did the drones look like when you were not using the night vision camera or the IR camera?
So the thing is, we couldn't identify anything other than the bright light.
It was just bright light.
That were on the object itself.
Never saw structure. We never heard them. No sounds.
No sounds. We could never see the structure. Even with the the FLIR camera, the long wave thermal camera, we would expect to see a thermal signature. Well, we didn't get that.
We didn't get that. Yeah.
So.
And it's kind of
how long did this observation last?
We're seeing both types of objects. It was about 2 weeks in November of 2022, and it was another. I think it was a week in October.
The end of October.
And at the end of October. And in the drone-like objects, we didn't see it again, but we continued to see these orbs.
Yeah,
for the video that we just saw, how long were those drones out? And that was all over the water, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long were those drones hovering over the water?
They were out there from 7 to probably 11 o'clock, 11:30.
11:30, yeah.
And were you out there the entire time to have visual that they did not go to another place and redeploy?
Yeah, we would be out there all night. And eventually they just kind of disappeared.
Okay.
And it may have been because they shut their their lighting down or they changed their spectral signatures, but they weren't there.
Right. And there's like I said, these times are pretty well defined. I mean, it's 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night till almost 12 o'clock at night. It's 12
and this is just for the drone-like objects.
Just for the drone.
The orbs we could see, that could go all night long. We'd see them they'd be sporadic, occasionally pop in and out, appear and disappear.